Hello. Today's topic is control structure.
If you like my video, please subscribe my channel, click on bell button, share and comment your doubts and like this video.
Till now, we have learned how to write a set of instructions. That is nothing but a program. But now, a program controls flow is the order in which the program code executes. That means here we have written a set of instructions. It is going to be executed one after the other. How these set of code should execute according to our requirement, we can execute our code. That is nothing but a control flow. A program's control flow is the order in which the program code executes. In Python, control flow of a Python program is regulated by conditional statements, loops, and function calls. There are three types of control structure in Python. Let me write here the definition of this flow control. Here, a program control flow is the order in which the program's code execute. Which code should execute first? How our control should move from which line to which line? That we are going to be deciding in this control flow of a Python program is regulated by conditional statements, loops, and function calls. Python has three types of control structures. Python has three types of control structures. What are those three control structures? First one is sequential statements. Second is decision or selection. The third one is iterative, or we can say repetition. That means here the flow control is going to be divided into three categories. One is sequential execution and decision or selection execution, or iterative or selection. What is sequential statements? Sequential statements are nothing but our statements, our set of instructions are going to be executed one after the other in a sequence way. Sequential statements are a set of statements those whose execution process happens in a sequence. For example, here a is equal to some 10, B is equal to some 5, then C is equal to A plus B. First it reads A, then B, then it executes. So this is a set of instructions. It is nothing but the control is going to be executes first statement, second statement, then third statement. So we will see the example of this also. Here A is equal to 10, B is equal to 5, C is equal to A minus B, and here I am printing C. So it executes one after the other, then it will give the result. The next one is sequential statements. The next one is decision or selection. We are going to be selecting. So here decision or a selection means what? What do you mean by that? That is second one, decision or selection. So here the selection statements, the selection statement allows a program to test several conditions and executes. Instructions based on which conditions or condition is true or false. Is true or false. That means here the decision is going to be taken depends on the condition. Here the decision controls are different types of decisions will be there in Python. That is, the first one is simply you can write here a if condition. That is simple if. Then second one is if else. Third one is nested if. And fourth one is if, else if, and else. So here first one, simple if. Here the definition of decision or selection, that is when you are going to be selecting a statement, it allows to test that particular condition. Once if the condition is going to be checked or tested, executed statements are going to be based on this condition. If the condition is true, it executes this set of statements. If the condition is false, this set of instructions are not going to be executed. For example, if true block, else block is false block, that we will see. Let me check this one first. Syntax for if condition. So here we need to write here if. You can write here condition or expression you can write, and it should terminate or it should close, or we can write a colon. That further instructions you can add for this if condition. So here once the expression or the condition has been written, you need to write a colon. Then after that, immediately in the next line, we should not start here. We should leave 4 spaces. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we need to write here the statements. How many statements you want, that many statements you can write it. This is statement 1, and here statement 2. So like this, any number of statements you can write it. N number of statements. So that means if the condition is true, these statements are going to be executed. Then once the condition has been, the executable statements have been completed, then it comes out of the if loop. So this is, here you need to write the statement which is out of the if condition. So this structure, this condition is called, expression or condition is called header. We will call this as a header. And these statements we are writing here after 4 spaces, leaving 4 spaces and writing. So this is called the alignment. This alignment is called indentation. So this indentation is compulsory. So here every header ends in a colon, semicolon. Okay, so if you are going to be writing the semicolon, the controller understand that after this true block is there and this statement should be executed. This is the structure, or we can say the syntax. So we will see one example using if condition. Here the same thing we will take, if condition. A is equal to 10, B is equal to 5. If A is greater than B, then you write down here colon. This is a condition or expression. So it should be ends with a semicolon. Then here, see, automatically our Python controller stays here. So here 4 spaces has been leaving, and here. So here you can write executable statement. It can be anything. So here I have written the print A is greater. And here I want to print the value of A also. Put a comma and write down simply that variable. Let me check here. A is greater than. Let me write here 2 and then execute this one. So here this is not executed because this is false. That means if it is true, it enters into this block. If it is false, it won't enter this. So here if it is not entering or entered, we should know whether it is going to be executing or not. So let me check here, print this is out of the if condition, out of the if condition. So here I'm going to write A is greater. So A is greater, this executed, then it is executed out of. So after completing this block, it executed in a sequence manner. That means after the if condition, whatever statements are there, our controller moves one after the other. Let me take here B greater and we'll execute it. See, this block has not executed. That means it is, our controller is not entered in this block. This is about if condition. Then we will see the if else. This is if condition. So if else we will see. So here if else, it is similar to if only. Simply the statement, that means the syntax is condition colon, then write down here executable statements, then after this else colon, then here write down the statements. If the condition is true, it executes this set of instructions. If this condition is false, our controller never enters into this block, but directly it jumps into the else part. Let me see the one program. Here only we will see. So here else colon, I'm going to write here print b is greater, and here b value also I'm going to write. Now let me check here. See, b is greater. I'll take this a. Now a is greater. So if else, this is if and else program. Now next one is nested if. Nested if else, if, both we can use at a time if you understand the concept properly. So let me write here. This is if else. Now here nested if. Nested if. So what is this nested if? Nested if is nothing but, let me write here the syntax first. If condition colon, then here nested if. Inside this, if the condition is true, it enters. Again here we can check the condition. So this is nested if. So here inside this if, executable statements and else part. Else part is, this is inside if else, and then here you can write the execution part. Now here for this else part will be there. So you can write else, then again you can write the statements. So this is a nested if. So for this, let me check one example. So here if a is greater than b, it is going to be executed. Here I'm going to write again, if a is percentile 2 is equal to 0, then a is greater, and also you can write and it is even number. So this is a nested if. Else you can write here so here you can write else printf a is greater and it is odd. So let me write here this and we will check. Now see, it is even because it is going to be dividing 2 and you'll get a reminder 0. Let me take here 35. It is greater, but it is not even, it is odd. So this is called a nested if. So here I am writing nested if. Now here we will see the else if part also. So else if part, if else if else. Syntax is if condition, then here if condition statements, then else statements, then else, or otherwise directly you can write here also. No issues, no again nested if also no need to use. Else if condition, then statements. So here this nested if is not required also. In the else part directly you can write. Statements, then else if condition statements you can write it. This is else if else if else. So here you can write again else part statements. So for this another example we are going to be seeing. So let me check here. Okay, here I'm going to write if else if else. So let me take a is equal to, a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3, b is equal to 3, c is equal to 4. If a is greater than b, then okay, if else if else. So here a is equal to 1, b is equal to 2, c is equal to 3. If a is greater than b, then you can write here, or we need to check that a is bracket is not compulsory. Without bracket also you can give. Again, I am checking that whether A is greater than C or not. Then I am going to print here A is greater than B and C. That is, I am writing here A value. So here else C is greater than A and B. So here I am writing else if A is greater than B here. But if it is A is not greater than, we need to check B is greater than C. Then you write down here print B is greater than A and C. So here I am writing B. Else we can write here C is greater than A and B. And here we can write C. Let me check here. C is greater. So we will see whether B is greater or not. That is 12. So it should display B is greater. Of course, it has been. So let me write here A greater. So A is greater. So using the else if, we can find the greatest of three numbers, and this is the syntax as well as the example for the nested if as well as the else if. Now the first one has been completed, that is sequence, and the second one is also completed, that is decision or sorry, in the first one only we have seen the example, the sequence 1 2 3, that is one after the other it is going to be executes. Then the second one is decision. Under decision we have completed if else, nested if else we have completed this also. Now the third one is iterative. Iterative is nothing but repetition. Iterative, or we can say the repetition. What do you mean by repetition? This iteration is used for looping. This is used for loops. That is looping. Looping. What do you mean by looping? That means a piece of code is going to be repeated. Repeating a piece of code multiple times. That means suppose this part is there, this 2 or 3 lines of code. So that if you want to execute again and again, that is nothing but a repetition. This repetition used for looping, repeating a piece of code multiple times. So here a piece of code is going to be executed again and again. But how it is possible? That means a repetition statement is used to repeat a group of or a block of programming instruction. That means we can say A repetition statements is used to repeat a group of, or we can say a block of also, a block of, a group of or a block of programming instructions. Okay, programming instructions. There are two types of repetition and iterative. There are two types. What are those two types? That is for loop and while loop. For loop and while loop. So let me see the first for loop. For loop. What do you mean by a for loop? A for loop is used to iterate over a sequence that is either a list, tuple, dictionary, or a set. It can be anything that we can use here. A list, a dictionary, a tuple, or a set. Anything you can use here. Here, the syntax for loop is for a variable, in operator, and sequence. This sequence, and it should be end with a colon. This sequence can be a list or a tuple or a dictionary or a range. It can be anything. All these are going to be accepted. List, tuple, or a range. All are this accepted here. Okay, all these are going to be accepted in this sequence. Now I'll show you here one range. Range means what? What is the range? Actually, this range is going to be takes three parameters. One is start index and stop index, and here step size. That means, for example, I want to display 1 to 10. So here we can, the start we can give 1 and stop you can give 10, and size, if that is option, actually you can give 1 or 2 or 3 or without that also. Suppose if you are giving 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4 it will display. Suppose if you are giving 2, that means it will take 1, 3, 5 like that. So 2, 2 is going to be gems. So here n value is, that is stop index, n value always it should be n minus 1. The last element by default it is n minus 1. Starting, if you are not giving the value, that is also it accepted. Default it will take 0. Let me check one example, then we'll go for the while loop. So here for loop, for, let me first do one range. In range, I told you that the initial value I am giving 0. No 0, I'll give 2. And stop I am giving 8. stop index, and I'm not giving any step size, just I'm writing here print I. Now see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 7. This is n value is, that means stop value is 8, but it is going to be takes n minus 1, the ending element, that is last element. For example, I am not giving here any starting value. So if you are giving only one value, it will take the stop value only. Let me check here. See, from 0 to 7 it has been displaying. Suppose I am giving from 1 and step 2 I am giving. Let me check here. So 1, 2 is not going to be displaying, 3, 5, 7. That means here the steps, how many you need to jump. So here it is going to be executed. For I value, first time it becomes 0, and in again second value. So that means here only we are repeating. My controller will repeat until this sequence has complete. So this is for loop. So hope you understood for loop. Now let me check while loop. So this is a similar to our for loop only. So here, okay, we'll see one example with the tuple, then we'll go further. So here I'm taking a list is equal to tuple or list, anything you can take. List I'm taking. So here I'm taking 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 8. Sorry, commas, all this. So this is a list. So let me write here for I in list, and here print I. Now see, all the elements have been displayed. Here also you can take, instead of list, any tuple, dictionary, anything you can take it. So I think, hope you understood this example. So let me check in a reverse order. So here I'm going to take, I'll write here, for I in range I'm taking here 5, and stop value is 0. Here I'm taking minus 1. So right here print I. So here the initial value is 5 and the stop value is 0, and the difference, that is step value, is minus 1. So every time this minus 1 is going to be subtracted with this 5, every iteration. So 4, 5, 3, 2, 1. So we can use like this. So here in this, we can use like this also. For variable in range, I'm taking here the range around 10 I'm taking, starting and step I'm not giving. If I is equal to 5, then you write down here break. Then print here I value. So what will be the, see here, when I is 0, it is not equal to 5, so it is printed. if I is 1 also printing, 3 also printing, 4 also printing. When I is 5, we have a keyword called break. So I am going to breaking this condition. So break means it is going to be terminated from the loop. So it has been terminated and it come out of this. So after 5, it has not displaying. So let me check here in a different way. For I in range 10, and here I'm going to print I, and here I'll write if I is equal to 5, I'm writing continue, print I. Four. Okay, sorry, here it is not colon. Now see here, when it is, okay, now see here, when it is 0, it is printing. When it is 1, it is printing. When it is 5 up to 4, there is no any confusion, because it's sequence one after the other, it is going to be printing. When it is 5, I is equal to 5. So what I said, it is going to be continuing. Continue means it is not going to be execute this. It won't come here because my statement I have given here continue. So it is going to be turns back and it is going to be execute from here. So I value is 5. Now that next iteration it becomes 6. So 6 is going to be checking here. So this condition falls again. The 6 is going to be printing. That's why here 5 has not printed. So in for loop, we can make our executable statements like this also using the break and continue. That means whenever you want to break in between the loop, we can use this. Or if you want to skip any statements, you can use here the continue statement also. This is about for loop. Then we will see the while loop. So here, let me take the while loop. So while loop. While loop is also similar to our for loop only, but only the difference is we are going to be representing the syntax is in a different way we are going to be writing. Simple. So while condition colon and write down the executable statements. Executable, any number of executable statements you can write it. Then after that you can come out of the block. So first one is here, normally the condition, when the condition is there, it should be initialization, then condition, then increment or decrement should be there. So let me check this with the example. So here we can write initialization, and here increment, or after completing the execution, executable statements, then you can write here increment or decrement. Increment or decrement. Let me check here how a while loop is going to be executing. So here, let me write A is equal to 0, I am taking, while condition A is less than or equal to n, then print here A value. Then next is A is equal to A plus 1 I am taking. Then after that, I am going to write here print out of the loop, while loop, while loop. Let me check here. N is not defined, sorry. So here I need to write the end value. So 5, less than or equal to 5. Now see, A is 0. Yes, it is less than or equal to 5. Less than, it's true. It prints. Then it is going to be taking the increment. That is 0 plus 1 is 1. Again, 1 is going to be checking. It will print the next value. That is 0 plus 1 is 1. It is printing. 1 plus 1, 2. Again, it is checking. 2 is writing. 3, 4. I have written equal to. So up to 5 it has displaying. Let me check with the less than 5. Up to 4 it is going to be executes. So only the difference is here the syntax of this is we can write here loop variable and colon, sorry, while statement and condition colon, then write down here statements, then after that updation. Updation is nothing but this increment or decrement. In Python it is called updation. This is the syntax. So let me check one more program so you will understand better. So here I have written, till now we have assigned the values directly. How to take values from the user? Just we can write n is equal to input and write down enter n value. So it will take the value. But here it is going to be taking whenever it will use input. That means from the user, the value is going to be taken. It will consider as a string only. So here we will get an error. Let me check that. So here I'm going to take I is equal to 0 and y while I is less than or equal to n, then colon, print here I value, then the updation I is equal to I plus 1, then after this print out of while. So now checking here, so here I am taking 5. See, it has given an error because it is not a number. Less than not supports between the instance of int and string. That means here the n value is a string. So to convert this into a number, we need to write here a int function, that is it is going to be parsing this string into a integer type and it will take as a integer. So I'm going to write here 10 and see, now it has been displaying up to 10. So hope you understood the control flow, that is the control statements, if else, if, nested if, and if else if. in the iteration, that means while loop, for loop, you people have understood. Thank you.